Hello everyone, it's me, Clayton. I just got back from seeing the most recent Jigsaw movie. Now, when it comes to the Saw franchise, I actually have a very long history with it, as I saw the first Saw movie a few years ago when I managed to get all the movies from a video retail store. Now, I was able to watch all 7 of them in a bit of a marathon 5 years ago, and I thought the first one was great, the second one was okay, and the rest of them after that were increasingly bad as we went on, with Saw the Final Chapter being nigh unwatchable. But now that the Saw franchise is back, and since I had good memories of the first 2 Saw movies, I figured I'd give it a shot. So, does this live up to the rather inventive Saw franchise? Well, it does in some ways, but it doesn't in others, and let's take a look. The story here is that after a recent series of killings that are very similar to the Jigsaw Killer John Kramer, it appears that he's back despite the fact that he's been dead for 10 entire years. So it's up to the police to find out who exactly is making these killings, who's this copycat killer, and they have to do it in order. And while we see that, we also have to watch 5 people try to survive their own game that's going on, where they once again have to live or die and make their choices. So the story here does feel like it's sort of an excuse to just make another Saw movie after 7 years, but to be honest, I've seen plots that are worse for movies that have no real reason to exist, and in my opinion, this one actually is fairly interesting throughout, mainly because the movie has a tendency to withhold information from the audience, not in a lazy way, but in a way that increases the mystery at hand. I do think that the way it sets things up and the way it clues in the audience at times is fairly interesting, and it does harken back to the first Saw movie, where there are things in the background or little details that you might not catch the first time you watch it. It may be worth multiple watchings just to see everything. Plus, the movie's only 92 minutes long, so it's not exactly a slog, and the film does move pretty fast. Though sometimes you could say a little bit too fast. Not to say that the other Saw movies were insanely long either, but the first Saw movie knew how to wait things out. They knew how to play things out. And overall, they seemed to just flow better. This one seems like it's in a hurry to get done at times. Though I will say, one of the things that made the Saw films so entertaining for me, despite how bad they would get, is really Tobin Bell as Jigsaw. And Tobin Bell does come back in this film, at least in his voice, and he does do, again, a great job as John Kramer. His voice just has this magnetic appeal for horror fans, and it really just is unique when it comes to how he says things and how he explains each game. It's a big part of why we love the franchise. However, the acting's pretty hammy, especially among most of the police officer characters. Most of the characters are fairly unlikable from start to finish, and the script is pretty cheesy when it's not full of bad language. It's full of constant exposition. But to be fair, those have been traits of the franchise for years and years, so I sort of expected them at this point. My point is, this isn't exactly a great film at all, but for Saw enthusiasts, you could definitely do with worse. I do think the final twist, while a bit convoluted, is really interesting, and they certainly did a good job building up that mystery. And I do think, geez Louise, the gore effects are excessive at times, but I think the gore is why people go in to see these movies to begin with at points. So to recap, the film has great gore, a good mystery, and of course Tobin Bell giving 100%, but the acting is hammy, the story at times doesn't make a lot of sense, and most of the characters are fairly unlikable. Out of the Saw movies, I think it's the 3rd or 2nd best out of all of them, but given how many of the movies were terrible, that's not exactly saying much. It's really going to be up to you when it comes to whether this is the right kind of gore fest for you or the wrong kind of gore fest for you. But for me, I'll give it a 6 out of 10. See you next time.